Internet! Hello and welcome to Koi Cubed. I hope you are doing well. It is the last week of April right now. Inexplicably, we are mere hours from May, which just doesn't make sense to my lockdown-addled mind. I have, this week though, started to have some semblance of masked normalcy, having gone to the movie theater for the first time in quite some time, and the gym for the first time in a year and a quarter. No, a year and a month. Either way, a long fucking time. Over a year of not going to the gym. That was a game changer, and I've only been to the movies with a private rental for my birthday in a year. So it has been a glorious week, feeling like there is hope on the horizon. It has been a somewhat light news week, however, so we're going to go through the news that we do have, but I thought it'd be fun to look at the MCU as a whole. If you follow me on my social medias, you've seen me ranking these films, but I thought it'd be fun to go through them with you all and talk through my 25 MCU films ranked, but I'll probably do that about midway into the show. That way, if you're just here for the news and you don't give a shit about my ranking, you can leave. If you like, it's up to you. Or if you've already seen my take on the 25, you can also boogie. But we will do that at some point in the show because, again, it is a very, very light news week today. So, let's get into what we got. I talked about going to the movie theaters. That was for Mortal Kombat. I figured we talk about Mortal Kombat a little bit. We haven't had a new theatrical movie to talk about in quite some time on this channel, and I went and saw myself a Mortal Kombat. I'm very torn with this experience because I know it went up probably a full letter grade just from the fact that I was back in the movie theater, but that should also say how much I love the movie theater and how important it is, while also understanding each and every bit of scrutiny and judgment the film got from the reviews. Everyone had fair things to say about it in their judgments, but the things they had to say didn't affect my experience. I get how the idea of the tournament not being in the film undermines Mortal Kombat. I get some of the character choices made, how that undermines the integrity of the characters in the long run. I do understand how the game is fun because it is a medley of different fighters with all different skill sets, and certain choices in the movie kind of undermine that. All of that being said, I had a great fucking time. I really enjoyed the silly use of lines from the game in story, in moments in the movie. I loved how many things they were able to shoehorn in from the mythology. I loved the amount of characters I got to experience from the game that I love. I'm an old school Mortal Kombat guy. I'm a Sega Genesis Mortal Kombat guy. I'm a 16-bit Mortal Kombat guy. And I felt like I got to experience a lot of the characters I know and love from that era on screen, plus a few I didn't even recognize that I'm sure are from Mortal Kombat like 7 and on. And I had a great time with it. It was ridiculous action. It was ridiculous acting. My buddy Louis Tan's in it, who was spectacular, I thought. And a dude that I really have enjoyed working with a couple times in a couple interviews, Makad Brooks, was Jax, who was exceptional. I had fun. I wanted fun. I wanted popcorn. I got it. I wanted to feel like they cared about the game, and they clearly did. I definitely enjoyed the mythology. I'm really looking forward to the second one, which I hope it's inevitable because it has done fairly well with the box office. It has done fairly well considering it's split theater and HBO Max, and all of those things are working against it. But with the numbers plus the hype, I really do hope we get another one because it's very much a movie setting up a franchise. It's very much a movie that looks to be the first of a three. Like, building a trilogy from the jump is always risky, but with the world of franchises that we're living in, with the world of blockbusters, I do understand where they were coming from and why they did it. So I enjoyed it overall. I understood the complaints. I understood why other people didn't have a good time with it. I did. I gave it a B-. I had a blast. B- for blast in the movie theater. I really had a good time. We got a thing from Jesus Gastelum. Mr. Jesus Gastelum, a known comic purveyor and weekend and Wednesday warrior of the local comic book shop. Jesus says, going to the movie theater for the first time in a year. Going to see Demon Slayer Mugen Train. Get on Demon Slayer, man. Such a good anime. You're not the first person to say that, and you won't be the last, but I do not have time for another show. But I do appreciate the enthusiasm. It is killing it. It is killing it on American box office charts. It actually did better in its opening than Raya the Last Dragon. And all of these numbers are going to forever have an asterisk next to them because of, COVID, because of limited theaters, because of day and date. But the fact that this anime, Demon Slayer, is crushing it to that level is a testament to its quality. If I had more hours in the day, if you guys could somehow find a time machine or a time turner and hook a brother up, then please, I am all about watching all of these animes. But unfortunately, I do not have the time because I hear it's exceptional, but I just don't have the time. But if you're an anime fan or if you've seen the show, do check out Demon Slayer, which will be Jesus' very first journey back to the movie theater, and I'm very happy for him, I must say. All right, back to the little bit of news we have. Ironheart just got its writer and showrunner in Chinaka Hodge. Now, I have not seen the show of... Oh no, I immediately forgot the name. There's a show based on a movie that was beloved. The movie stars Chris Evans. The show stars Daveed Diggs. I'm gonna have to look it up. Oh man, I was hoping I would remember, and I didn't write it down like a fool. Like a fool. The writer and showrunner involved in Ironheart is involved in this property, which I now have to speed Google while on air. For that, I apologize. And I don't know this person's work because I have not seen this show. So I'm very intrigued by it. I am very, very hopeful for the future of the MCU, and I think Ironheart is a very, very good property to expand out the future Young Avengers, which are, let's be honest, all but inevitable. This is Snowpiercer, the Snowpiercer show. One of the people behind Snowpiercer is behind Ironheart now officially as of today. Man, that was a quest. Chinaka Hodge, writer and showrunner of Ironheart. It's official. I'm excited. Young Avengers are coming. We will see how that all pans out. And the Snowpiercer show with Daveed Diggs, I hear, is very good, and I'm a Daveed Diggs fan. So one day, that's another show that by the year 2045 or so, I will have had time to see. I'm on season 3 of Schitt's Creek. I'm watching it literally now that it's over because it's the first time I've had an opportunity to watch it. I have not rewatched the show in probably 5 years, but I really want to rewatch Kingdom, and I would love to rewatch Breaking Bad, but there are too many shows I need to watch that I have not seen once, much less rewatched. But I'm currently watching Schitt's Creek because it won every Emmy ever, and I finished The Good Place, and I finished Ted Lasso. The only struggle I'm having is that Ted Lasso was an A+, and I fell madly in love with Ted Lasso, and I'm enjoying Schitt's Creek. I give it like an A-, and Ted Lasso being an A+, I'm not as invested. So the problem is when you watch Ted Lasso, there's no coming back from it. It is a game changer of a television show. But one day I'll watch Snowpiercer, was that random tangent I just went on. We also have now cast all of the Paper Girls. All of these are unknowns or relatively unknowns. They're all the right age bracket. They look like the Paper Girls. The Paper Girls is a Brian K. Vaughan graphic novel, a solid run that has a beautiful beginning, middle, and end of a crazy, crazy time travel arc. And I feel like between Y the Last Man and the Paper Girls properties coming out very quickly, the world is about to know Brian K. Vaughan more than ever. He is working on the Gundam movie. Brian K. Vaughan is officially attached to Gundam. They're making a Gundam live-action film. So Brian K. Vaughan's everywhere. I'm excited as hell for Paper Girls to have a cast because now it means it's actually happening. Y the Last Man was delayed forever. I was afraid Paper Girls would get the same treatment, but the book just ended last year, maybe a year and a half ago. I don't remember because COVID times. But we are getting Paper Girls officially as a series, I believe on Amazon. All 4 of the Paper Girls have been cast. There's a 5th that rotates in and out. But the core Paper Girl assembly is locked. Look them up. They look just like the characters. They're all the right age. They're all unknowns. I'm very excited for it. We're moving and grooving with Brian K. Vaughan content, which means they're only a certain amount of willpower hopes away from some friggin' Saga. I don't know if I want Saga adapted, but I also know I want Saga adapted. Speaking of shows and things that people often rewatch in their comforts, The Office. The Office is, I think, the #1 comfort show for, I'd say, most Americans, and the British Office is likely that for the UK. But The Office has such a unique background revisit ability. I've only watched The Office through once. I didn't watch The Office until 2018. I'm a recent Office consumer, and I loved it, but I've never revisited it. But it just has that comfort where I feel like once you know these characters, you can really just sit with them. The fine folks at NBC are very, very wise, and they're basically having the setup for each season allow for extended episodes for each season, therefore making their app Peacock so much more valuable. The episodes of The Office are typically, your 22 to 30 minutes, depending on how deep into the season you get, but they're, they're prepped for commercials. So you're imagine 22 minutes. The Superfan episodes are episode 1, the pilot, 38 minutes. Episode 2, 33 minutes. Episode 3, 31 minutes, 34 minutes for 4, 39 minutes for 5, and so on and so on. So we're talking almost double the amount of runtime in some cases, from 22 to 43 minutes. Incredible that we can get this much more Office. So the Peacock app, it is not as buzzy as your Amazon, your Netflix, so far your Disney Plus, but with things like this and remodifying what their television programming looks like, it's a great way to entice people. I'm very, very intrigued. So The Office being something I love dearly that I've only seen once, this would be a great way to revisit it for a second time when we have the time. But Superfan episodes will begin streaming very, very soon. The entire first season has Superfan stuffs, and keep your eyes peeled there for that goodness. There is no date listed here, but I'm excited as fuck. Just generally excited as fuck. Over to the world of film, there was a new Fast 9 trailer dropped this week. As you all know, I am a giant Fast and Furious fan. I'm a Fast fan. And the new trailer looks like all the things I love about it. It looks ridiculous. It looks larger than life. It looks like it understands the world and the comedy and the madness. I love the idea of John Cena as Vin Diesel's brother, because why not? Because it's all about family. I love the action. I love the fact that they're leaning into going to space. I love the Fast franchise. It is preposterous. It's a live-action Looney Tune extravaganza. This trailer shows that off. But we also are getting the 8 movies leading up to it, specifically in Fast. I don't think Hobbs and Shaw is part of it, released as free Friday movies every week leading up to Fast 9, starting on the 30th, starting in a few hours. The 30th, you can watch Fast and the Furious for free at one of the participating theaters, and there's tons of participating theaters. Next Friday, 2 Fast, 2 Furious. The following Friday, Tokyo Drift, and so on, leading up to Fast 9. Now, before the world stopped, I had been talking to a few people at various movie theaters and a few people at Universal about trying to do a marathon. I don't know if that's going to happen because of timing, logistics, and all those things. But I personally, every time leading up to a Fast and the Furious film, rewatch all of them. I watch every single Fast film before the next, so I would, in this case, watch all 8 movies leading up to 9, which would be at least a 2-day event. I do barbecue, I do Corona, and I just have myself a grand old time. I wanted to make that a public event, but I'd want to get the licensing from Universal so I could invite people. I'd want it to be like a big event where I could invite folk. If that does happen, the moment I know, I will let you all know, and we will do a big barbecue cookout, all of us, anyone that wants to come. I would hope that is possible before June, but that is tricky now with the world reopening unevenly and all the stuff and the numbers spiking in certain places. California is actually the #1 state in the country, so here feels like safe, but I'll keep you guys posted. I would love to do a Fast marathon publicly and share my experience of the Fast films with you. That said, time will tell. Watch the Fast 9 trailer. It is magic. Adam McKay is doing press for a number of things. Adam McKay, noted writer of Anchorman, but also director of The Big Short. The guy does drama exceptionally, does comedy exceptionally. He wants to make a Silver Surfer movie. He's been wanting to make a Silver Surfer movie for quite some time, and that's a character that gets bandied around a lot. That's a character that people talk about wanting to make, but I really, really enjoyed what he had to say about his take on the Silver Surfer movie. He said, basically, a few years ago, they were talking about it. It was in development, saying, quote, Silver Surfer was tricky. It was something about it because we did look into it. I think it's connected to the Fantastic Four, and because of that, kind of lives under its own umbrella. But there was something that got in the way of it because we did look into it a couple of years ago, but I could be wrong. I could be misremembering, but there was a reason it didn't happen as someone else was already working on it. But no, I was definitely into it because it would be a very easy one. Later on in the interview saying, quote, if you look at Galactus and you look at the origin story of Silver Surfer, how he sacrificed himself for his home planet, Nornrad, was that his name? I haven't thought about that name in a long time. That would be a very easy one to make into an environmental allegory. I think it'd be an incredible movie. I think it would be visually the most stunning Marvel movie that's ever been made. I haven't lost interest in that. In fact, now that you mention it, maybe I'll lob a phone call and see what's going on. I would love someone of Adam McKay's clout to wield the Silver Surfer. I would love someone that's clearly this invested. He has 100 names bouncing around his head. Him remembering Nornrad is already impressive, but him not being certain, I do not discredit. Like, holy crap, Adam McKay knows who Nornrad is. I would love to see the visual style of Trad Moore, who just did Silver Surfer Black, adapted to the screen. I would love to get some of the classic looking at humanity from outside space Silver Surfer moments. It was Stan Lee's favorite character because he was able to look at humanity. He was able to look down at humanity and comment on it through his own lens. And that always, you know, brought something special to the stories, but I didn't really get the character until Donny Cates' Silver Surfer Black, and now rereading other Silver Surfer, I've got like a different lens on it. I would love to see more of that. It is a fantastic character for the silver screen. It is so cinematic. I would love to see Adam McKay handle this. Will it happen? Certainly don't know. But is it cool to hear he's super interested and that he had a pitch and that maybe phone calls are getting made? Yes. Now is the time. Fantastic Four is moving forward. Maybe we can get a Silver Surfer separate movie, and then the second Silver Surfer could be Fantastic Four, or third Fantastic Four could be Silver Surfer, etc., 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 etc. All right, next up we've got Kong vs. Godzilla is getting a sequel. Kong vs. Godzilla is apparently doing so well. I mean, it's done very well with the asterisks. Again, box office right now being what it is. They're fast-tracking a sequel from the same director, Adam Wingard. So Son of Kong looks like it's moving forward, which would be very exciting. I have a lot of hope for this. The first one was fun as hell. I guess third, fourth, / first. The first Clash of Titans movie was fun as hell. So I have hope for this franchise, this MonsterVerse, and it looks like Adam Wingard is coming back, so that's exciting. This is just a story for me. 22 vs. Earth is a prequel to Soul that is going to be a short on Disney+. If you guys know me and know this channel, you know I'm obsessed with the movie Soul. It was my favorite film of 2020. I love it so dearly. Any more footage experience of that world I'm all about. I've actually not been up on the shorts or any of the things that are separate of the, you know, full theatrical experiences on Disney+, but I will be venturing into it for this one. I'm very hopeful. Tina Fey's coming back. I'm just so in. Give me anything Soul. I'm about it. So it's called 22 vs. Earth. It is a Disney short, a Pixar short, and it's going to be on Disney+, and there's a little bit of footage online about it right now. Before I do my mega MCU countdown rating, let's talk about the finale for Falcon and Winter Soldier. But first, I saw a bunch of chat things pop up. Let me just check real quick if any of them I might address in my Falcon Winter Soldier conversation. People are excited about Paper Girls. I do need the hyperbolic time chamber from DBZ. I would like that very much. If anyone has one, if I could borrow it, that would be very kind of you. I would review anything with that hyperbaric chamber. Unfortunately, I don't know that it exists. My trip to AMC was incredible, Arturo. I got curly fries and bunch of crunch, and I just had a movie theater experience. I watched Mortal Kombat. I had almost center seats. There was a lot of social distancing seats blocked out, but I was like 4 from center. The amount back I like to be. I just got to experience Mortal Kombat, and I'm sure that movie wasn't as good as my experience of it, but my experience of it was so happy because I hadn't been back in the movie theater. It was also the right kind of movie to go back to the theater with. I went by myself because I wanted the experience to be mine and not me worrying if someone else was having a good time. I wanted to do that. So I actually walked around the entire movie theater. I took pictures with posters. I just had myself a movie theater time. The movie was 2 hours. I was probably there for 3. I love the movie theater, so I had a great time. Thank you for asking. I'm going back tomorrow, or maybe Thursday latest, to see Raya the Last Dragon, but I'm hoping to do it tomorrow. I'll be back at the theater ASAP with that AMC A-list hype. All right. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is coming back to theaters in a few days. Everyone to my house for barbecue tomorrow. Hold my brick. If I had a big enough space, when I have a big enough space, I would love to have large gatherings. It's just whether or not that's ever going to be safe for my and my friends' safety in LA to like open door policy. But I would very much love to do it at a theater or something. Maybe one day. Yeah, traveling is quite expensive and quite the problem, especially right now. I would want Adam McKay on Fantastic Four. The guy's an exceptional filmmaker. Kevin Feige, get on it. If only. If only, Jesus. Maybe it can happen. Hey, Coy, I love the Falcon the Winter Soldier. Excited for Loki. I love WandaVision. Also, the hate for the actor who plays John Walker is not cool. Don't do that, please. People are dumb, Lewis. That's just a rule of thumb. Just assume people are dumb. At least 10% of people are dumb. So when you have this big of an audience, you're going to have a lot of loud, dumb people, and that is just the way of things. Unfortunately, Wyatt Russell is a genius, and yeah, he's not the U.S. agent. He's an actor. Adam Warlock was mentioned in Guardians 2. When do you think we'll get him in the MCU? I think in Guardians 3. I think James Gunn is concluding his arc with Guardians. He was actually teased in Guardians 1, so I don't think James Gunn's going to want to leave his Guardians without Adam Warlock, so I assume he's going to be part of the situation very soon. I did go to the theater. It was a great time. Oh, my Breck was not into Soul as I was, but that's totally okay. That's the magic of taste. Mortal Kombat was great if you eat with others while watching it, if you sat with others while watching it. I went solo, and I still had a good time. So where does Bucky and Sharon go from here? Also, those green gas bombs kind of resemble goblin bombs. Is Sharon talking to Norman Osborn? Can you even imagine? I would lose my fucking mind. I loved MK so much, dude. So great. I say 10% because I think dumb people are just louder, so it seems like there's more of them. But I have faith in like a lot more of humanity. I probably have faith in like 85% of humanity, so I'm thinking like 10% are dumb, 5% are just willfully ignorant. But I think most people are good, but you can't deal with the ones that aren't because they're usually a lot louder. So let's talk about Falcon Winter Soldier Episode 6. I really loved this show. I thought the finale was a bit rushed. I'm not going to lie to you. I really had a good time with all of the action. I enjoyed the speech. It definitely had to do a lot, but it really nailed everything it could in the hour-length runtime. The show could have used a 7th episode, to be honest. The show could have used an 8th, but at the least, I think we need a little bit more of a denouement. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of an epilogue. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of a resolution instead of feeling like he's Cap, rush, have a speech, action. But for the runtime they had, if we only had 1 hour, they did very well for the 1 hour. So screen-accurate costumes of Cap and U.S. Agent made me very happy. That speech was so good, it reminded me of what I want to feel about America again. I haven't felt as positively about America in quite some time. And that speech was about being better and growing and improving and evolving, and that's what we do, or what we're supposed to do. That's the idealized version of us. And it makes me want that again. It makes me hopeful. It makes me believe we can persevere and be better again. So that was an incredible speech, brilliantly written, impossibly well acted while being in a costume that is literally spangled. Very impressed with that speech. And it did balance out the amount of chaos and action in the episode. Just overall very impressed with how Anthony Mackie embodies his Captain America in such a great way. And again, it gave me hope for America in general, which Captain America should. That fight, Batroc is the first big bad that Sam Wilson Cap fought. So when Sam Wilson became Captain America in the comic books, Batroc is the first person he fought. I love that they mirrored that by having the great Georges St. Pierre play Georges Batroc in this show. For 3 out of the 6 episodes, we had tons of Batroc the Leaper, and I loved it mirrored the comic books by having that be his first fight. The fight itself was bitchin'. I'm a big GSP fan, and I love the way that fight was shot. I also loved all the fights in this episode being so different to his style of Captain America, the use of the shield and the wings, Bucky's new use of his arm, the way he wields his arm differently, the more comfortable he is with his arm. I loved all of that. I loved the separate fights where Cap was in the sky with the helicopter, Bucky was in the ground with the arm, and Walker was pursuing the truck. I don't love that they just forgave Walker. I would have had Walker get away at the end, not just be like, hey, everything's fine now, right? That bothered me. I didn't mind the team up. That happens all the time. Your enemy of your enemy is a friend in temporary moments, but the fact that he it just didn't work for me. That was one of my problems with actually, to be honest, if John Walker had gotten away instead of being like friends with everybody, this might have been an entire step up in my ranking. After I talk about this episode, I'm gonna give you my ranking, and it did fall because I felt like the last episode rushed a lot of that. He wouldn't have been forgiven after killing someone by Anthony Mackie's Captain America. I mean, Bucky definitely has some sympathy because of what he's been through, but the guy wasn't brainwashed. He killed somebody. So it's a tricky thing. We will see. That definitely bothered me. Bucky got very little to do here. They set up his PTSD and they talked about how they treat veterans a lot in this show, and then they didn't really give him a resolution. The thing with the grandpa was like a 2-minute scene. The thing with the woman at the restaurant was a look through the window. I felt like we didn't get Bucky's resolution. Now, this was a show about Sam becoming Captain America. I love that he had his moment, and he deserved it. That was the point of the show. But the show being called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, now Captain America and the Winter Soldier, I would have liked, again, another episode where we got to see both of them have a little bit of a resolution. I didn't want him to become the White Wolf. I didn't think he's White Wolf yet. He's still very torn, very broken, very Winter Soldier, but we've seen him accept a lot more. We've seen him at the barbecue. We've seen him find happiness. All those things are important, but we didn't get enough of that, in my opinion. So I would have loved to have seen a 7th episode. I loved all the closure for Isaiah. The Smithsonian situation might be unrealistic to some people, but it's a comic book show, so I love to see idealized situations like that. I was really impressed with how well it was handled. With obviously the acting was impeccable, but it felt grounded, real, and important, and we need to do that as Americans. We need to not just pretend our past isn't real and just go like, well, I didn't do that, someone else did, and ignore it. We celebrated Columbus Day throughout my elementary school, and the dude raped, pillaged, and murdered, and we celebrated that motherfucker, and we need to look back at our past. And just because something is how we do things doesn't mean that's how we should keep doing things. We should acknowledge problems. We need to realize that fucking Martin Luther King photos were in color, and we turned them into black and white so we could pretend that was longer ago. That's not acceptable. We need to acknowledge our flaws as Americans and fix them instead of ignoring them. So I really like what that Smithsonian scene represented. I really like all of the build-up to Captain America being an earned title, not something that Isaiah would be ashamed of. All of that really worked for me. I love that sequence, and it gave us a little bit of the Patriot in he saw his grandfather accept Anthony Mackie being black and Captain America, which the 5th episode said no self-respecting black man would. He got to see that change. That's going to be a huge moment in the Patriots' future. Eli Bradley, his grandson, that's a big moment. So I really like that, as he is a fantastic young Avenger, so I have a lot of hope there. I didn't love the book handoff. I get what it represented metaphorically. I get that was closure. I get him giving that book to the shrink was important. And I also get that it stands for him not putting Steve up on such a pedestal. But Steve is still his best friend. I get that, but I don't know. It did bother me a bit. I wouldn't have necessarily gone that way with the story, but this isn't my story. I'm not one of those fans that's thinking they're entitled to tell the story they want to tell. I'm enjoying the content as a fan and giving my couple negative notes. Agent Carter as the power broker was great. We all predicted it, but I'm excited to see her as a double agent. I'm excited to see how big that can go. I think we're getting Madame Hydra out of Julie Louis-Dreyfus's character. Obviously, with U.S. Agent, that could be the start of the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts. The Dark Avengers is more likely because I think we're going to get them fighting the Thunderbolts by way of Baron Zemo because of that last scene. Now, I don't know if those super soldiers are actually dead because of the cop that said, the line to the Flag Smashers. So that could have been a bait and switch. They could actually be alive. We don't actually know whether Baron Zemo won there or if he thinks he won because of that cop, which was a fun little moment. The Flag Smashers are an interesting commentary on our society, how we perceive refugees, and how nationalism is a problem to the extreme that we've taken it, and I really liked the nuanced level of commentary on those characters. Nuanced being, they killed people, which is bad, but what they had to say and what they were trying to do was good. You can do something for a good cause in a bad way, so it's what that line is, and that's the question of villainy, and that intrigues me. Zemo, obviously, still in more control, even from prison. That is setting up the Thunderbolts. He's obviously in the Raft, a great place to recruit supervillains into a super team of villains. I don't think he's going to use super-powered villains because he doesn't want super soldiers, but I think he's going to find people that are powerful in other ways, and the Thunderbolts are going to be a force in the Marvel Universe. The only things I didn't like were the Walker forgiveness, the Agent Carter shooting that guy forgiveness. I feel like there would have been a little more of an investigation there, but I know her record was good before she left. I just felt very, very rushed. And the moment that I think we're getting in Season 2 / Captain America 4, I think we're getting Captain America 4 first and then Season 2, but I think we're going to be looking at how America responds to a black man wearing the Captain America suit because he is Captain America. The comics in that are just racially charged. This show was a great setup for that. The show was a great look at how that's going to be difficult. I want to see more of that. Obviously, they didn't have time in one episode to even begin to do that. He had to be Captain America. Now we get to see the world's reaction to it. I'm intrigued how that goes going forward. I love that this is an origin story. I love that this set a lot up. I love that the credits changed to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I loved all of that. It's just a matter of whether or not whatever time frame they're looking at for Captain America 4/Season 2, when we address those things, how big it gets, and whether or not they resolve the Walker so easily forgiven storyline. All right, John Getz. That one government official is busy. Made Cap, took away Cap, headed a committee on new locations for people, and even pardoned Sharon in like a week. Frankly, that government official, I was going to say senator because I just assumed, because in comic books it's always like an evil senator, is very busy. That guy has signed more paperwork. He has done more legislation than anyone else that was just standing around. John Getz has a fantastic point. That one guy, he's doing the work of many governments all by himself. Very efficient, singular official, playing evil and good simultaneously. All right, I'm going to check your notes real quick, and then I'm going to give you guys my ranking of all 25 Marvel properties from Iron Man in 2008 through 2021's Falcon Winter Soldier. We're going to count them down 25 to 1. Then I'm going to give you some comic book recommendations. Then I'm going to give you some streaming recommendations for May, and then we're out of here. And we'll maybe talk about curls a little bit, but then we're out of here. All right. Let's see what you guys think and say. Sharon might be the big bad for Armor Wars. I mean, they definitely set that up. It's definitely an option. It's going to be curious about how all this ties into Black Widow, because Julie Louis-Dreyfus is in Black Widow, so what the character is doing there is going to inform a lot. Hold my brick, cried in front of his girlfriend in front of that speech. Good, man. You should be able to emote. That's very important. I love how unique Cap feels compared to Steve. Yeah, it's a very different character, which I very much enjoy. I do think we can have spin-offs with all these characters. I don't think John Walker is exactly forgiven by Sam. Well, they let him go. He just, like, nodded at him. And also, like, I don't think Walker would have nodded at... I have things with that, but I'm not going to get into the negative, because I overall very much enjoyed it. How do you think they'll bring in Eli Bradley, the Young Avengers? I think they will just have a scene where we see him meet another Avenger, and then they start to form a team. I don't know if he's going to lead them, but I think that we're going to have a Young Avengers set up much like the first Avengers film, where they all start to get their own little origins, then they become a thing. Maybe they all get their own show, or one or two of them do, and then they all build to be a thing. Cap, there'll be a 4th Cap movie and a season 2 of the Falcon Winter Soldier. That is what I think. I know we're getting Cap 4. I also think we're going to get a season 2. Coy, I love you. However, WandaVision isn't at the top of your rankings. You're wrong. I'm kidding. Honestly, I have no idea how I'd rank the MCU, but props for being able to rank them at all. Yeah, I'm about to break that down. Actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's break that down. Let's do it right now. Diving in. 25 in the MCU from way, way, way back. Let me pull up my list, because I did a whole thing. The current amount of people in here now, if you guys aren't interested in my list, or if you don't want to listen to it this way, it is on my TikTok, and it will be on YouTube later as a separate breakout thing. Right now it's in 5 parts, but I'm going to run through my list and give a tiny, tiny reason behind it. 25, Thor the Dark World. It didn't work in the time. They have fixed it retroactively by having it be so important in Endgame, but overall it's doom and gloom, and its pacing and the villain being so weak is my lowest MCU film is Thor the Dark World. Iron Man 2 had the most potential and fell the farthest from its potential. The cast is so good. Jon Favreau is so good, but it tried to build in too many Easter eggs. So many Easter eggs it actually kind of undermined itself. So Iron Man 2, though still a nice C+, is on the lower scale just because of how good the MCU is overall. My number 23 is Captain Marvel. I could not hang with the villain. It was one of the first movies that I thought looked cheap, looked inexpensive. I love Brie Larson. I'm a big fan of Brie Larson. I actually really enjoyed her in Endgame as Captain Marvel, but I did not care enough about the characters in Captain Marvel, nor did I feel like it was really well directed or written, and it felt at times heavy-handed, which is a bummer because I really wanted to like it. It's probably the one I wanted to like most that then fell. So 23, Captain Marvel. 22 is the first Thor. This would be higher if the universe wasn't as incredible as it is. It feels also inexpensive. This was definitely the Ike Perlmutter era where it was like, gotta have a big fight, put it out in the middle of the desert, and they like wrote around the budget, which felt cheap at times, especially considering how great Asgard felt and how big and Shakespearean and grandiose. This would normally be higher. It is a B-, but in a universe as rich as the Marvel universe, a B- means you're at number 21. The blonde eyebrows, the not knowing really where the character is, all of those things definitely affects me. So it is 21 for me. Number 20, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. Sorry, Thor is 22. My next is 21. Number 21 is The Incredible Hulk. This works better as a solo film than as a group film. In a world that's a shared universe, it needs to feel like a group film, and this one doesn't. I like the meditative pondering of existential awareness of the Hulk. I liked Ed Norton's take on the Hulk, but it's so different from Mark Ruffalo's, and it definitely has some villain problems, and it definitely has some issues with its in-universe stuff, so I gotta go with Incredible Hulk for number 21. Number 20 is where I'm gonna start to piss people off, I'm sure. This film just felt too much like another superheroes film, and that's because the character does, but also I just didn't feel like they separated enough from it. I was not as big a fan of Doctor Strange as many people were. Number 20 is Doctor Strange. I feel like they wasted Rachel McAdams. You can never waste Rachel McAdams. That is a crime. I didn't really care about Caecilius. I did enjoy the Dormammu stuff, but the visuals were cool, the directing was cool, but I was never invested in the movie, and I didn't really invest in Doctor Strange until he was in the team film. So I'm very hopeful for Doctor Strange 2, but my number 20 is Doctor Strange 1. Number 19 is a film that they have worked very hard to make better through WandaVision, through a number of other properties. It is a fun time, but it is a mess when you look at it in all its parts, and if you separate it from everything else. My number 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19 is Age of Ultron. It's funny, but it doesn't understand the merit in some of its characters. Its action is beautiful to look at, but it tries to set up too many things. That was studio interference as well as some other problems. A lot of people love this film. I talked about it on Rotten Tomatoes. If the MCU had kept going this way, it would have imploded. It was the first time they took a large misstep on something of this scale and almost ruined the MCU. It is a really fun time, but it's definitely in the B- area, whereas a lot of the rest of the MCU is a lot stronger. It has more flaws than most, but it also has more greatness than most. The farm scene, the party scene, the Mjolnir Stan Lee cameo, all of that is exceptional, but there's so many problems that it's down there for me. So that is number 19. Number 18 is the first Ant-Man. The first Ant-Man. The character does not work well on paper in a film universe, but if you cast Paul Rudd, you're going to make it work, and they really did. I did not like the villain. They wasted Corey Stoll. They just made him like an evil Ant-Man, and I get the parallels. You want to do the hero and villain being mirrors of each other. There's so many better examples of how they've done that well, including Cap and Winter Soldier. But there are enough flaws in the film. It's low, but at least it's not trying to be bigger than its britches, so it's a little above Age of Ultron because it doesn't hurt the MCU, which I think Age of Ultron almost did. Also, Age of Ultron is not an age, it's like a week. Ultron is such a big character. Anyway, doesn't matter. Ant-Man is my next up. Then Ant-Man 2, which I think improves upon the first Ant-Man because you actually let the Wasp be a character. You don't waste Evangeline Lilly. You actually utilize her character in an interesting way. So my number 17 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought the villain was better. I thought the action was better. They learned how to use the supporting cast in really fun ways. So that's why Ant-Man and the Wasp is above Ant-Man. My next up at number 16 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a very interesting father-son story. The comedy is exceptional, but for some reason it just didn't resonate as strongly as Guardians of the Galaxy 1, so I feel like the expectation versus reality is the only reason it's this low. It's also one of the only MCU films I haven't revisited a lot, but the father-son stuff was great. The visuals are stunning, it's Guardians, but it is on the lower side at number 16, and that is probably my last B-. My next one is the first of the Bs, Captain America First Avenger. Another film that would be higher if not for the rest of the universe being so exceptional. It does have some pacing stuff for me. The middle kind of falls apart in a way. I love how much it's able to do. It's very impressive in how much it's able to do. It's able to be a classic superhero story. It's able to set up the Red Skull. It's able to show the propaganda of Captain America. It's able to endear us to Captain America. It's able to do tons of super soldier shit. It's a beautiful film, but it's not as strong as I think a lot of the rest of the universe. So number 15 is the first Avenger. Number 14 is Spider-Man Homecoming. Nope, sorry, Spider-Man Far From Home. It's all on one little page here. Spider-Man Far From Home. I need a friendly neighborhood movie, personally. I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but this movie felt like it had an Iron Man Jr. problem. He's been to space, now he's in Europe. I really want a first neighborhood, close home Spidey. This movie just got huge, and I just want a contained one. So it's not the movie's fault, but that's just how I felt about it. I loved Mysterio. I loved the supporting cast, but I didn't feel like he was Spider-Man as much as he was Night Monkey. I want a Spider-Man movie, so this one's on the lower side. Next up, and this one's going to be the moment when the chat gets just mad at me, but I did not love this film as much as a lot of people did. I enjoyed it. It's halfway to my list now. We're at 25, and this is number 13. We are halfway. Don't you get mad at me. Halfway point is good. This is a B bordering on B+. Actually, this is probably B+. B+, Thor Ragnarok. This movie's tricky because it's a great gateway between Thor Dark World and where we needed to be with Thor in the Avengers films. The Endgame and Infinity War Avengers films, but it definitely felt like it sacrificed some of the integrity of the character while being hilarious, while being amazing, while being visually stunning. It definitely took me out of the Thorverse while watching it. I actually, when I saw the first time in theaters, was like, oh no, I don't think I love this as much as everyone else. Upon revisit, I enjoyed it a lot more. I would put it about right in the middle of the whole MCU. It's so funny, it's so inventive, it needed to happen, it's a great comedic reinvention. But it can't be in my top 12 because the top 12 belongs to number 12. B+ would be a little bit higher, if not for the last episode feeling so rushed and some plot lines that COVID caused to not be resolved, and that's not its fault. But B+ is going to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier that just wrapped up. That is my number 12. I really loved it. It had some of the most important scenes in the MCU. It addressed a lot of important issues. Episode 5 is an A+, but episode 2 and episode 6 were like B minuses, so it dropped it down to like a B+. I give it a B+ overall. I think it was really well done. I think it juggled a lot of things. I think it's one of the most important properties, but because of the quality of the MCU as a whole, it is number 12. Number 11 is the one that I think is probably going to be most people's strongest disagreement. Ragnarok is probably the one that's going to like raise the hackles, but my next one is probably the one people are going to be like, what's wrong with you? I suffer from panic attacks. I suffer from anxiety like a motherfucker, and I think that the films in the MCU only work if we start treating them like they're for adults and kids, and the first film to really respect us as adults, I thought, was Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is a film for adults, by adults. If it didn't have the stupid Killian twist, it would be in my top 10. I hated the fact that they made Rebecca Hall's character irrelevant because of like Perlmutter. If that hadn't happened, it would be in my top 10. I love the way this movie handles Iron Man. I love his trauma. I love the pathos. I love the buddy cop stuff with Rhodey. I love the visuals, the plane scene where he's playing Barrel of Monkeys with those characters, all of the different Iron Man suits, all of the Downey Jr. goodness. Iron Man 3, I think, is one of the most unfairly maligned pieces of entertainment out there, and Iron Man 3 is very, very confidently my number 11, just before Falcon Winter Soldier. All right, we're to the top 10. Most of you guys are still with me. I am very, very happy. Oh yeah, and also I love the Mandarin twist. I think that was a really good way to handle a very sensitive subject, and now we're going to get, with Shang-Chi, evolving from that subject. You set up the 10 rings in Iron Man 1. It's a very big character in the Iron Man mythos. I think that was a really great way to handle it. Also, it gave us a lot more Jon Favreau. Iron Man 3 is fucking dope, you guys. All right, top 10. We are now into the A-minuses. Iron Man 3 is my A-minus. My next A- is Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming is, I think, the closest we've gotten to a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It was only for a couple scenes, but I love the churro, I love the bike, I love all of that stuff. Tom Holland Spider-Man, I think, is great. I think it's a great modernization of the character. It's wicked funny. It juggles like 3 villains very well. I also think that Vulture is one of my top 3. Yeah, I think 4. I think Vulture is my number 4 of all the MCU villains. He's real, he's grounded, he's a vulture. He scavenges amongst the parts of the Avengers like debris, and the Green Goblin-esque twist, the scene with Peter and Adrian Toomes in the car is one of the best scenes in the MCU. It's also the most Spider-Man scene I think we've had in any movie ever. I think the scene in the car and then the scene where he's wearing that awesome vulture coat and he's like overpowering Spider-Man from afar, knowing he's Peter Parker just by talking and waiting for the glider to come. I say glider because they did the Green Goblin thing. All of that is peak Spidey. Very comfortable number 10 is A-. Spider-Man Homecoming is my number 10. Largely because of Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, the supporting cast, all the visuals. I think John Watts directed the hell of it. Number 9, the Black Panther. Black Panther is the best soundtrack in the MCU. It is a incredibly great isolated film. You don't need to have seen a lot of other Marvel films. It is a genius solo adventure, and I think that's really hard to do. It's got arguably some of the best acting in all of the MCU. The cast is insane. The movie feels so comic-y but also grounded. It's like a James Bond geopolitical thriller. It is exceptional. I don't even have to tell you, James. I don't even have to tell you it's good. I'm just going to say it's great. Number 9, Black Panther. Number 8, this is the property that made me realize that my job, though it is to theorize and extrapolate out from there, I never want to become a Star Wars fan or a release the Snyder Cut zealot that makes people uncomfortable about their fandom. And this show, I had fun theorizing, but I was always happy when I was wrong because the show stayed grounded. The show actually stayed contained like I always claim I want, and then they did it. And I love that it was a show invested in two of the hardest characters to translate, and that is Wanda and Vision. WandaVision is my number 8 because it was about trauma and about mourning, and it never left that. And the ship of Theseus, and there's so many allegories and metaphorical moments that are so much bigger than us. And of course that's how Vision sees things. And then the way Liz Olsen handles that character and wields that character, it's just beautiful. I love that show. I was so impressed, top to bottom. Number 8, WandaVision rocked me. I was so proud of Marvel. I was so invested. That said, Falcon Winter Soldier, if it had one more episode, it would be right up there with WandaVision for me. I just needed a little bit more of a different landing. So it's interesting how close number 8 and number 9, 10, 11, 12 are, because they're all that good, that window of greatness. And that is my last of the B pluses as we get into the A minus. My first A minus is number 7, Captain America Civil War. Civil War is, I think, the first annual from the MCU. It deals with responsibility. It deals with power. It deals with our rights as individuals. It deals with being an American. It deals with a villain being your friend. It deals with, just two sides of an issue causing a strife, which is what our country has become. This movie is reflecting our times even more than the times it was set in. It introduced Black Panther and Baron Zemo and Spider-Man. It gave us the airport fight. It gave us so many things. I think Civil War was my favorite for a while, other than my top 5, but it really, holy shit, Civil War. So my number 7 is Captain America Civil War, the first of the A's, an A minus for Civil War. Number 6 is, how do you stick a 23 movie landing? How do you land a 10-year plane ride? You make Endgame. This movie has so many arcs concluding. It has 20-some lead characters, 10-some supporting characters. It juggles the world and has a time heist. It gives us nostalgia for going back to the original films. It gives us modern stakes by killing off characters that we're invested in. It gives us true-to-life comic book arcs, and it somehow resolves 10 years of plot lines. I was so impressed with Endgame. It's incredible. It and Civil War are both A minuses. They might switch from time to time. They might rotate between 5 and 6 there. I mean 6 and 7 there, but Endgame is a special piece of art. And the moment, Cap wields Mjolnir and the shield, the first time we hear Assemble, all of those things are just holy shit. So those are my 5 and 6. Number 5. All right, we're in the home stretch, you lovelies. We are now in the A territory. We only have A's and A pluses left. Number 5 is the first Avengers. This movie holds up incredibly well. This movie is almost 10 years old. This movie came out in 2012. The special effects mostly hold up. The writing is so funny. The amount it juggles is incredible. It is a movie that shouldn't exist. This was only 4 years after Iron Man. Iron Man was bold as fuck. Iron Man is impossible. How does Iron Man exist? Then 4 years later, they put all of those characters together in one thing. They somehow combined them into one thing. How? How do you possibly do that? And they did, and they nailed it. It felt like an Avengers-level event. It coined that phrase. The Coulson thing was so important. That's why I never watched S.H.I.E.L.D. I really, really, really love 2012 The Avengers. It is a miracle. It does not make sense. It is so fucking good. The dialogue is just so comic-y, and yeah, number 5. A, Avengers. Number 4, 2008 was the year we got The Dark Knight and Iron Man. It was a mere 2 years after X-Men 3. That's how long ago it was in movie zeitgeist. Iron Man. Without it, we're nothing. 4 is Iron Man. This movie, the special effects are still better than most movie special effects. The soundtrack is exceptional. It was a bold casting choice, getting Downey Jr. It was a very counter-studio casting choice. This whole movie is risky. This whole movie's punk rock. This whole movie's, all of its choices are insane. The script wasn't even done when they were filming it. Everything about it's punk rock and crazy. I can rewatch Iron Man more than most, and I just love this fucking movie. Downey Jr. is holy shit good. So, Iron Man, number 4. Number 3, it is higher than Endgame for me by 2 movies. The first one, Infinity War. Infinity War gave us one of the best cinema villains of all time with Thanos. Infinity War gave us, 9 different character arcs. It parsed out characters in genius ways. Has some of the best action I've ever seen. The scenes with Thor and Rocket, the scenes like where they split them up and how they do that is all so ingenious. We got Nomad Cap. We got so many fucking awesome comic book moments. But all of it is so grounded in heart and so grounded in our investment in these characters. Thor with Mjolnir landing and that the Wakanda fight, like all of this shit. And I love that they gave us fake trailers and everything. We went into Infinity War very surprised. And same with Endgame. We didn't ruin the Endgame. It is so very good. So, number 3, Avengers Infinity War. Number 2, the comedy and the action are only outweighed by the heart, number 2. And that is incredible because it is a team-up film. And it is 5 characters, 2 of which are a rocket, raccoon, and a tree. And holy shit, do you care about a tree and a raccoon and a character that doesn't understand sarcasm and a kind of an asshole from the 80s and a badass warrior woman whose father is a tyrant. Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't know how they made a team-up movie in one movie that good. In 2 hours, they told like 5 very different character stories. They had us invested in all of them. It's one of the funniest movies. The soundtrack is perfect. Guardians of the Galaxy is my number 2. It is the first of my, I don't know if that's either Infinity War. Infinity War is either an A+ or an A. I don't know where, but either an A+ or an A. But Guardians of the Galaxy is an A+ or an A as well. Guardians of the Galaxy I can rewatch all the time. It makes me cry in theaters. I was so fucking there. But yeah, and my number 1, you guys have probably figured out because it's all that's left. The movie that feels like a piece of cinema removed from any genre. A political thriller, paranoid, heist, action comic, every genre movie that has great romance, little flourishes, that is, I think, the best directing of action in the MCU. The Batroc the Leaper scene and all of it's got a hallway fight, guys. It's everything I want. Winter Soldier is my number 1. I love Captain America Winter Soldier. I don't particularly trust our government, and the whole thing is about, Captain America no longer trusting the government. The whole S.H.I.E.L.D. falling apart way quicker than we ever expected as comic book fans. They dismantled S.H.I.E.L.D. so early in Phase 2. It's about not trusting positions of authority, which I don't. It is about what it means to be an authority figure. Holy shit, the elevator fight scene, the Bucky knife fight scene. Like, there's so many incredible fight scenes, but all of them are grounded in heart. You care about Bucky and the plums, the details. You care about Cap's relationship with everyone. You care about the Robert Redford villain who's just a guy. You care about Sam Jackson. You care about Sam Jackson's holy shit car chase scene. They like reinvented the car chase in a fascinating way. This was our first Russo brother film, and to me it's still the number 1. Winter Soldier changed my life. Winter Soldier was actually one of the first films I covered as a host. I covered Winter Soldier for a show I had at Bite Size Networks back in the day, and Winter Soldier was the beginning of me losing my mind about this world. So, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Arnim Zola, Batroc the Leaper. I mean, how many villains does that movie juggle? And the real enemy is from within, and it is genius, and it's arguably my favorite Black Widow stuff as well. So, yeah, it is fucking everything. I am a big fan of Winter Soldier. It's my number 1. So that is my 25, you lovelies. Thanks for sticking around. I'm going to see what the chat has to say and how mad it is at me. I'm actually, you guys I'm sure are, all Humphrey-Dory, but I'm going to see if the later on comments, the not live, gets mad at me, because I'm sure that'll be where those people come in and just rage. All right, let's see what you guys said. And then comics, and then we're out of here. I'm not going to do curls today. Know that I'm meal prepping. Know that I'm eating healthy. We'll talk about my regimen in May. I got back to the gym, the physical gym. I was in the gym, and it felt amazing. So we'll talk about all that here in a moment. People loving Iron Man 3 makes me very happy. I'm hurting Michael McCarsel's heart. I'm sorry, Michael. Let's see. Nerds of Tech doesn't like Guardians. That's interesting. I mean, everybody's got their own thing. And that's okay. Oh, wow. You guys were talking about this. Hell yeah. Okay. I love how lively the chat got during all this. Let me get... So, Ragged Rex with me so far. Iron Man 3 is the worst. Nerds of the Tech. Nerds of the Tech and I just have different taste in film. Nerds of the Tech and I have disagreed on everything so far, and that's okay, because I have no problem with that. Iron Man 3 is so good. Zemo won't have a choice on who he works with. Captain Marvel being that low. Did you see her power up in her first fight? Yeah, but I didn't care. Like, I didn't care about the characters, so I don't care about the fights. And I thought the fights looked cheap. Captain Marvel just feels like a waste for me. Incredible Hulk's the worst for me. It just didn't do it. Seemed more cheap than it should be, I guess. I mean, it was so early on, but it's low for me. It's in my 20 to 25, but I'm cool with that. John Getz said bottom would have to be Cap 1, Cap Marvel, Incredible Hulk. Top is definitely Iron Man, Ragnarok, and Endgame. All right, I'm into that. John Getz. Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo are just too different to say they're the same character. Yeah, I think that's why overall they had to just hard reset. The characters laughing themselves in between jokes being Guardians 2. Man, I love a good montage. We disagree there, John Getz. I thought you'd have Guardians rated higher than the second. Guardians 1 is higher than the second. Yeah. That we're keeping the neighborhood now. I think the best chance was Homecoming. Yeah, that's kind of my worry. Not gonna lie to you. Thank you for not being mad at me, everyone. I love that these are respectful. To me, it's the funniest, and it really does have underrated action. I mean, that Super Saiyan moment in the arena is nuts. Yeah, I need to rewatch Ragnarok because it's in the middle for me, and it might stay in the middle, but at least then I might think higher of it overall. Hold My Break enjoyed Falcon more than WandaVision. Hell yeah. Iron Man 3 is low-key great. John Getz, Iron Man 3, yes. I love Shane Black comedy, and Kingsley shows incredible range. Thank you. Okay, people are Team Iron Man 3. That makes me real happy. I actually got to introduce Iron Man 3 at the LCAP for the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige and all those folk. And I know Shane in real life, but Shane couldn't make it to the event. But it was an honor to introduce one of my favorite films that people sleep on. Like, I think that's the most underrated of them. Of all the MCU, I think Iron Man 3 is the most underrated. So since it's a Friends film and I got to introduce it to the LCAP, it was quite the honor. People love it on Doctor Strange. Hell yeah. Car scene is amazing. Iron Man 2 is okay. It's okay. Even my lowest 3 are still okay. Black Panther soundtrack is one of the best, period. I totally agree. I love how Iron Man 3 didn't use the suit to solve every situation. Hell yes, I agree with that. Are X-Men rated higher on the genre listed movies than the MCU movies? What is your top rated X-Men movie? What Marvel character would you totally see casted as? I would love to play Venom. Thank you. I wanted to play Venom or Carnage my whole childhood. The X-Men movies are not. X-Men 2 and X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past would probably be in that 15 to 16 range, but none of them are higher than these top 10. Most of them are lower than these top 20. The average X-Men film would probably be in that 15 to 20 range. Some of the lesser ones would be lower than these movies because there's definitely C's and D's in the X-Men universe. But the highest X-Men, the X-Men 2, Days of Future Past, and First Class would probably be in the middle, or in the 10 to 15 range, maybe. Maybe is that high? I've never thought about it that way, but they'd be in there somewhere. Number 1, Inhumans. Good God, what a piece of garbage. Let's see. Okay, people just generally respectful. That just makes me happy. Winter Soldier epitomizes Steve and his story for me. I totally agree. The only thing I don't like about the MCU, they kill their villains because, well, they're not doing that anymore. They're not killing their villains. They're doing a lot better about that. They're working on it. All right, everyone is respectful and kind and amazing. You know why? Because the motherfucking Koi Pond is the best corner of the internet. I love you guys. I appreciate that. We all just had a very civil conversation about nerd film culture. We all just had a real conversation about nerd film culture. I did forget Logan, Michael McCarcel. Okay, Logan would be in my top. Shit, let me look. I think Logan would be in my top 10. If it was like in the MCU, I think it would fall around Black Panther. Yeah, I think Black Panther and Logan would round out my 9 and 10. It'd be above Spider-Man. Man, that's hard. That is hard. Anyway, that is a conversation for another day. Maybe when there's no news, we will do all the Marvel films. Maybe we'll just rank every Marvel property if there's no news ever. Will that happen? Probably not, because there's always some news. But that is going to be it for our ranking for the day. I'm going to give you guys some comic recommendations, and then I'm going to tag out of here. Let's tell you what. Last week, I recommend the following from the 14th. No, that was 2 weeks ago. Hold on. I have not written down my comic list correctly. Oh no! Okay, I don't have my top 9 from last week. If you're a patron, you will have that available to you because it's already up on my Patreon. But if you're not a patron, the following comics I recommend you pick up tomorrow. I recommend at your local comic book shop tomorrow for the 28th. Alien 2, Amazing Spider-Man 64, Avengers 45, Black Knight, Curse the Ebony Blade number 2, Captain Marvel number... Oh, no, these are last week's. Guys, I didn't write down the comics for this week. I have failed you, and I am so sorry. I will next week have my last 2 weeks of favorites, and I will be talking about the last 2 weeks. I apologize. I didn't transfer over the note from my phone to my computer, and I'm using my phone as a camera, so I have nothing I can do. I apologize. Let's wrap this up as we hit 1 hour. I want to officially say thank you for being the best corner of the universe, because nerds like us are generally very, very opinionated, and we're very, very quick to disagree and argue. And instead, we are all just like, hey, that's not how I do it, but I respect that opinion, and that is fucking rare and amazing, and more people should be like you, live chat. More people should go like, that's not what I'd say, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means we disagree. And that is the power of democracy and how we should function as people. I appreciate you all. I'm going to wrap this up. I will see you next week for more Koi Cubed goodness. And, yeah, stay sane. Take care of each other. I appreciate the fuck out of you. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.